What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be working on this Rad power bike. This particular one is the Rad City Plus, and it's throwing a code 21. Now, the code 21 is basically indicating a voltage issue, and that could be one of many things. That could be the battery. Oh, by the way, Zeke is giving me a hand on this. It could be the battery. It could be the little battery connector for the frame. It could be a computer. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure this is off, and it is. We're going to remove the battery and be sure to put it in a safe place. And what we're going to have is we're going to have 2 Torx screws at the base of the battery tray. We're going to remove these, and we're going to first replace this piece right here where the battery goes into it. So,
is this going to work? They look like they're smaller than the smallest one on there.
So we've got, I'm sorry, we can't find all of our tools, but we've got this little multi-tool Torx wrench, and we're just going to unscrew these. Now you want to make sure that you do not lose these screws. So we're going to put those in a safe place. Now thankfully, the new one comes with new screws. And then you want to unscrew the other one right here. And this one is a little damaged, it seemed like, but there we go. So we got the screw right there. And then this little plastic tray, you're just going to want to not force it, just kind of work it a little bit. And it is kind of a snug fit. You don't want to use anything, you don't want to use any tools and damage it. Eventually you're going to find the sweet spot, and it'll come right out. Okay, now we're going to unplug this, pull it straight out, and we're going to get our new one. Here's the new one. We're going to plug this in. Just make sure we line it up properly. And I'm going to slide it back in. And we're going to test it. Okay. Alright, we're going to replace the screws. We're going to put the battery in, and we're going to turn it back on. Alright, so let's try turning it back on. Still throwing a code, so the next thing is we're going to replace the computer. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we just unscrewed this, and we're back to pulling it back out. And Zeke here is going to be taking the next step, which is going to be removing the computer. And the first thing that you need to do is you do need to pull the tray back out. Now that we've got the screws back out again, we've got to pull this thing back out, unplug this thing again, get it firmly, pull it straight out, And then if you look down inside of this here, can you see way on down in there? We've got the computer that's inside of the frame. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, we've got a screw right here, and then we've got a screw right here, and then a screw up here, and then we've got another one up there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to remove this plastic guard here, which is going to give us access to some more screws up under there.
After removing the guard, it will expose these 3 wires right here. After exposing these 3 wires, you can move them over to the side down here, and you'll see that there's 2 screws. And after unscrewing them, it should allow you to remove the computer. You're going to need to cut these zip ties. There's a zip tie right here, and there's a zip tie right here. We've already removed this one. You're going to want to unplug the motor. There's a couple of connectors right here as well that you're going to want to unplug. If I can get a grip on it enough, which I cannot. There you go. On the bottom of the down tube, right next to the bottom bracket, there is a little rubber seal that you'll want to remove.
Now, it's kind of in a bind in there, so what we need to do is we need to not force it, but we're going to get these wires that's down underneath the bottom bracket, and we're going to kind of gently try to get this out without jerking it.
I see where it's getting caught. It's getting caught on the top.
Yeah, we're just going to carefully. Yeah, I'm gonna put my finger on the top here, and we're just kind of working it. I'm not pulling on this very hard. There we go. So do not force it. Okay, we're gonna pull this out. Now that we've got the old computer out, we're going to get the new computer, and we're going to kind of fish these 2 wires into the frame and through the hole. So I'm going to be putting the electric motor wire in first. So after you're fishing this in, you can use some string or something like that. It would have been smarter if I did that, but I didn't. And
well, you still can. There's string right next to it.
So what I'm doing is I'm just fishing this through, and we can pull it out with our finger. After we get that out, we're going to go with the other wire, and we're going to be fishing that through. Might take you a few tries, but if you're persistent, you can get them out. Okay. So after those wires have been put through, we're going to leave this wire, which plugs into the base of the battery tray, and we're going to just kind of fold it over, not under, and we're just going to carefully feed this back into the frame. Now comes the fun part, lining up the holes with the computer. Alright, so what I like to do is I'm going to use a little bit of a probe or an Allen, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line up the hole, the threaded hole, with the hole in the frame. And there it is right there. Now that I've found it, I need to push down to hold the computer in place. We're going to get the screw.
It's a
Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and, now that it's lined up, we should be able to thread it in, which that's the easiest way I've been able to do it, and it actually works quite well. Sometimes this is kind of hard to line up, but what we're going to do is, alright, we're going to give these a little bit of a tighten. Make sure that you line up the plugs properly. It can be very tight. Let's see, we're going to line up the arrows on this, and there's an arrow right there, and then there's an arrow right
It's focusing
there.
on the background, not the actual thing I'm looking
Okay.
at. I wish it would allow you to focus mid-video. I don't know why it doesn't. My camera does.
Okay, so after you get the computer put into the frame, you want to go ahead and plug your plugs back together. Now, there is a rubber plug that we took out of the bottom of the frame. We're going to go ahead and feed the wires back through that plug. We're going to go ahead and install the plug into the bottom of the frame. Isn't that right, Zeke? Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the motor fully. We're going to plug in the connector here at the back of the seat stay. We're going to line up the two arrows, plug it in, and then any excess in here, if you look on the bottom here, we're going to actually kind of pull it back into the frame. So we got the one here. Now we need to get the motor. And we're going to pull it up into the frame. And we should be able to zip tie all of that. Okay, so we have a lot of excess cable here, so I'm going to just give it a twist, and we're going to tuck it in there far enough that it's not in the way of anything. Now we're going to get the battery tray here. We're going to plug it in. We're going to find the arrow. There's the arrow there. And then there's the arrow there. Plug it in. And then we're going to just tuck it inside of there. We're not going to force it. Come on. It might take a couple of tries to get it tucked in there. But it's super important not to force it. There we go. I found a spot that wire could go. And we're just going to tuck, tuck, tuck. And then try to make sure that this Torx screw is going in straight. Come on. Oh wow, did it just fall in there?
Yep, it did.
Alright. Go grab a magnet, please.
We're getting a great video of hitting a screw that's hopefully not aluminum. Which was not checked.
Not steel.
Sweet.
Be very careful not to drop the screw, because if it falls into the frame, you're going to have to pull everything back out. And you just need to make the screw snug. You don't need to make it really tight. Okay, now that we've gotten one in, we're going to install the other one, and we're going to try not to drop this screw, because right now if it drops, it goes into the frame, and then we'll have to unscrew that and then do it all over again. I'm going to use a magnet. To get the screw into position, and then we're just going to screw it back into place. And then you don't need to make this tight, just a little snug. And now let's put the battery in before we put this completely back together and see if the code is gone. Now keep in mind we still have to do all of this. We're going to put the battery in, snap it in place, turn this on, and so far so good. Let's give it a turn. Okay, so we do not have a code 21, but we are still having a little bit of an issue here because it is not going. So we need to check all the connections. It is getting power, and everything is plugged in. I'm going to unplug this one and then try to plug it back in.
They might have just fried the whole thing. It's trying to do something, I feel it. I can feel it. It's trying.
Now it's doing a code 30. Code 30. Alright. Okay, so the drama continues. The code 21 is gone, but now we've got a code 30, so we will let y'all know.
And it's got to be worse because it's a whole 9 codes higher than the other one.
We'll see. We'll let you know.
One winner later.
Okay, so here's what we've got. This was brought in and it was giving us a code 21. We replaced the computer inside of this, and the code 21 went away. And what code was it?
I don't remember what code it was.
I'll tell you what it was. It was giving us a code 30 after that. So,
and then it just cut off and didn't turn back on.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It just shut off. Can you get that bag right there? So we got a package in from FedEx, and this is how we got it. It was opened up, holes. I really hope that everything is in here. Rad. Yeah, I did pull this out. If we're giving you a call, it's because we didn't get everything because it was just completely open. So Rad was kind enough to send us a new wiring harness for this, and it does look like, at least as far as I can tell, it looks like it's all there. So we're going to go ahead and put in a new wiring harness and a new computer, and then we're going to see if we can get this thing going. So, you ready?
Yep.
Alright, let's get going. Well, I am excited that we actually got this done for the customer. Let's recap what actually happened. Okay, when the bike was brought in, it was giving us a code 21. Now, a code 21 is actually poor power going from the battery to the control module. Naturally, we were sent a new battery tray. That's actually where it makes connection with the battery. And we got a new control module because sometimes those can actually throw that code as well. We got both of those replaced and we turned it on. The code 21 was gone, but we had a new code. It threw a code 30, which is actually a communication error. So somewhere in the wiring harness, it was not communicating what it needed to for the computer to work properly. I turned it off and tried to turn it back on again. It would not turn on. So we contacted Rad. They sent us a whole new wiring harness as well as a new control module. When we went to go replace that, there was a very strong plastic smell in the old control module. So apparently something in the wiring harness caused a short and it fried that control module. After getting all that replaced, we turned it on and it worked great. That is what it needed, was a new wiring harness. Now, if you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful in any way, please don't forget us to give us that big thumbs up. Don't forget to tell your friends. Check out some of the other videos on the corner of the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.